Gentleman's time's expired. I'll now recognize another representative from the Commonwealth of Virginia, Ms. McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to follow up on questions from Representative Whitman about how we are addressing some of the workforce issues. But I want to ask if you could go into some detail about how you might be using new technology to improve capacity of the workforce that we already have.
Yes, ma'am. As Representative Whitman said when he talked about quality of service, quality of life, those are huge benefits. And in Virginia right now, we're already working with Newport News and others. It's a kind of already a great news story of the things we're going after, the food and everything else. Part of that also is how we improve technologies. So we are looking at robotics and some of the technologies with data analytics within the yard. Right now, up at Electric Boat, we've already been employing robotics. Down at Newport News, also employing robotics and some of how they go through cutting, forming, welding, and then eventually being able to scale that to the larger stuff. As an example, down at Newport News, one of the things they determined is they were having some quality issues with making the hull structures. It was because they were manually checking the dimensions after they welded it. They were able to bring in a track system with a robot that could automatically check it in situ as they were going. It increased their efficiency by over 30% and reduced their quality from 10% defects down to less than 1%. So we're seeing the benefits of that automation, repeatability, not only increasing quality, but also improving efficiency.
Thank you. And following up on earlier questions you received, can you provide a little more specific information on how you can increase build rates and use the Navy's plans to use funding from the supplemental if we pass it to help increase build rates?
Yes, ma'am. A good portion of the supplemental, about $2 billion of it, is stuff that's going out to supplier development, strategic outsourcing, some of that workforce development national. When you look across to, as Representative Whitman said, some cases it's bring the work to the people. In other cases where you get saturated, it's take the work to where the people are. In the case of the strategic outsourcing, we have about 20 to 25 main vendors that are doing that large structural fabrication, vendors located in different states. Some of the money that the Congress already provided before, back in 19 to 20, today, if we had not had that money, there are portions of the submarine that we would not be able to build. Some of the large forgings that go into the missile tubes and Virginia payload tubes, the superstructure that goes on top, the money that Congress provided allowed us to facilitize those vendors to be able to do that larger capability. That is something we're doing around the country. I think as the Undersecretary said, and Admiral Houston said, today we're at about 4 million man-hours annually that we've now pushed out. Our goal is to get up over 6 million by 2025. That's essentially a half of a Virginia-class submarine that will be pushing outside the yards annually to ensure that we disperse and take advantage of the workforce around the country.
Thank you for that. One of the things I've heard from the Virginia shipyards is that the department can be slow in dispersing funding for submarine construction in the industrial base account to suppliers and contractors. What is the Navy doing to ensure this funding can go out more quickly?
Yes, ma'am. I think it was said earlier by some of the representatives that when we understand the stability of the work and the prediction, we have economic order quantities when we do multi-year procurements. We have one of those coming up as we move forward into the next block of Virginia's, as well as Columbia. We actually have a joint team from my organization and the admiral that owns the Columbia class, where they're working together with the shipbuilders to push out the largest volume ever that we've done in shipbuilding at one time to establish large, stable contracts so that the stability with the workforce out there can understand, they can facilitize, hire the workforce, and get that stable, credible demand over time. As we go to do that, working with the supplier base, we worked with EB and Newport News. They have a quarterly supplier bulletin that they put out, and the Navy has helped with them to put information in there to better communicate with all of the suppliers. We have about 350 critical suppliers, 16,000 total, that we push that information out so they have better visibility and transparency of the timing of what's coming so we can communicate and make sure we maintain that partnership.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
The gentlewoman yields back.